Um, okay, the story about this fucking girl on social media. Anyway, again, we've made an episode about it. Social media being cancer. And I think especially when it comes to little kids, I mean, everything is becoming a curated kind of representation of everyone's life. It's not that people are learning to be very performative in everything they do, and so I think that it's teaching kids to be complete narcissists, and it's something that's very unhealthy and antithetical to our societal cohesion.
Yep.
But the reason why I deactivated. John just said that he's thinking about closing his Facebook and his social medias. I had them completely deactivated for years, and I only reactivated them recently because I'm trying. I'm lonely. I'm looking. I want romance in my life. I've been without it. Like I haven't had a girlfriend or anything in a long time, and so I'm like, oh, you know what? My life is coming together. I wanna have somebody to share it with. And so I was literally, and this was a girl who had a kid already, and so that or had I think one or two kids already, and so that was kind of a compromise for me. I'm looking for someone I would like to have my own family, but she already had her own kids, and she was like 36 years old, and so she she invited me to coffee. Okay, so she's like, oh well, we can go for coffee, and she chose the place. And then when it came to the day before we were going to go meet the following afternoon for coffee, I'm like, hey, so we're still on for tomorrow. And she's like, I checked with my friends, and they said that it's really weird that you don't have a social media. I'm like,
That's weird.
I'm like, fucking the irony. Like for me, like I've come to accept that like it's going to be very difficult for me to find somebody who isn't like a slave to their social media presence, and like who doesn't get off on getting clicks and likes on everything that they fucking do and share with the world, all these mundane bullshit things that they give you a little polished representation of. Oh, hey, here's me, here's what I'm making for dinner, all this fucking nonsense. For me, that was a concession that I was making. It was also a concession that she was 36 and had her own kids. But just the thought that somebody who is 36 years old, okay, like who is a mother, does not have the sense to be able to to decide what is safe or not safe. She invited me for coffee. She chose the place. Like, and that was like, oh, you know what? It's weird that you don't have social media. It's weird.
My friend said it's really weird that you don't
Yeah.
have social media. Well,
Yeah.
listen, honey, there's a reason why I don't have it because everybody on there is fucked. Listen, the only reason why I have Facebook
In my
anyway,
profile.
the only reason why I have my Facebook still so I can argue with fucking strangers at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's fun. That's the only reason why I
I
have
troll,
it at this
yeah,
point.
that's it. I just troll on Facebook. That's really all I do.
Yeah, I go on these news, these news pages, and they put an article out there, which is usually like, I in particular enjoy going on the Montreal Gazette because I don't know, the people there are just fucking completely retarded,
Yeah, okay.
and
All right, I
they're
got you, bud.
so they're so I don't get it. Like it's just like I'll give you an example. Like recently, the thing that I've been really, what is it, the articles that they've been writing about Carey Price, because Carey Price,
For this,
Oh,
like the,
he's
fuck,
a
yeah,
hunter.
because it...
but he's also like a native. Like he's like
He's a native
also
guy. He's
yeah.
a hunter. He and then the new gun laws that they're trying to the passing are just ludicrous, and they're not going to contribute or change anything when it comes
Like
to gun safety.
criminals don't care about the laws in the first place, right? So like
No,
Yeah.
that's
banning
why
the
they're
guns,
called
the people
criminals.
who are committing these crimes in the first place, they don't give a shit about the law evidently. So I mean, making them illegal, like it's only going to anyway.
And they're making a big. Oh, he said this at a time when we were celebrating the anniversary of the
It was
massacre at
Trudeau. It was
Polytechnic.
That's
Yeah,
it
he
was
doesn't
Trudeau
decide
doing
when
that.
the law comes up, you know?
Yeah, well, that's it. Trudeau was doing this because like, this was obviously done on purpose. This was deliberate that Trudeau timed this where he was passing these laws at a time when like there was the anniversary of the Polytechnic thing in '89 or whatever it was.
And here we are. We're passing gun laws based on a massacre that took place 30-something years ago, 30 years
Yeah,
ago.
1989, 33 years ago?
33 years ago. So here
Yeah.
we are. Mind you, the big issue right now is like in our city in particular, gun crime, which is usually always street gangs. It's not like you got guys who are fucking members of a gun club shooting people up, left and right. it's never been really like that. You're always going to have the odd fucking weirdo who's going to do something like the last time we had,
Yeah, every group has a shooter.
everybody's got like Kim Veer Gill. We didn't make much of the fact that this guy went to Dawson. And by the way, Kim Veer Gill, Indian guy, wasn't the, cis white male,
Yeah, exactly.
shooting up a school. We didn't make much of his race back then, though, did we?
No.
We gotta blame it on the guns. We gotta blame it for something else. It's these things are not going to change. You could pass as many laws as you want.
And
It will not change.
It's also that they're appealing to the ignorance of people who don't have any knowledge or understanding of the gun laws or of the guns themselves. I mean, like, it's just like, oh, guns equal bad, So it's like these people they don't actually ever nobody that they know has ever had a gun. It's just that they're given this fucking complete misrepresentation of how they're used, of what it takes to get one, of how easy it is to access them, of all of this stuff. They have no connection to any of this. These people don't hunt. They don't have they're not connected to anyone who hunts, and yet they're the ones who are going to be who's not adherence. What's the word I'm looking to? It's their
By the way,
their acceptance of the bullshit. Again, let's go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, I just basically wanted to digress and say that, I like arguing with people on social media, and that was the particular article that I did that with. And,
Yeah.
And then we got into this. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But yeah, no, it's but anyway, the social media thing, I had them all closed up until recently, and it was after that one that I was like, okay, I'll reactivate them. And you know what? It has actually happened. It's so fucking addictive that what happens at the end of every, I'm laying down in bed and it's time to go to sleep, and I end up fucking scrolling through these stupid videos, and it's like, an hour has gone by. I've wasted an hour of my time watching complete mindless bubblegum for the brain bullshit, which contributes nothing to my life at all, which I retain nothing of use, nothing practical from. It's just a complete waste of time. And since I've reactivated those accounts, again, just to have an online presence, so that if I come across somebody who I otherwise might be able to have a meaningful relationship with, and then teach convey to them why all of this is poison, and then maybe get them off of it. In order to even get there, I have to play part of this. I have to play this game and fucking be.
You basically
online.
need to have a social media account just so they don't think you're a fucking serial killer at this point. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
That's pretty much what she implied. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what she said.
She said her friends, a 36-year-old woman who's got kids, is delegating the responsibility to decide what's safe or not, after she invited me and chose the location. Oh well, you know what? Maybe it's weird that you don't have a social media. And anyway,
your first mistake was letting her choose the location, and the second mistake was, or actually, the first mistake was her, calling the shots on when the date should be. I don't want to get into the whole.
No, she had asked, and I was like, because I was getting at that. It was very early on in the conversation. She's like, "Oh, do you want to go for coffee?" I'm like, "I was just going to ask you that." And then I said, "Well, we can go in this shitty little town. There's nothing here, so it's like, okay, well, we can go to Tim Hortons or whatever." And she's like, "Oh, let's go to Ben and Florentine." So I was like, "Okay, we'll go to Ben and Florentine." But yeah, anyway, whatever. That's a whole other conversation. But I know what you were gonna say.
No, I've been reading a lot about the whole
Dynamics of dating.
Dynamic, yeah, not just that male female, that sexual polarity, and how just
decisiveness and
and that indecisiveness is just a complete turnoff to women. So when you're the leader, you got to be the leader, and so that's one thing I have also made a lot of mistakes with, just not being the leader, not being the one to be the guy making the decision,
initiating decision making conversations, and
not just that, but it's like, okay, we're gonna go here, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. What a lot of guys do is we're always looking to so what would you like to do? Where do you want to go?
Bro, I just realized. Can you open your sweater? Put your shirt in front of the camera. That's Chuck motherfucking Norris.
Yes, it is.
It's amazing. I love that shirt.
I love it too. Yeah, I got it. It's for one of his charities that he has. Kickstarter for kids, something that he did.
Nice.
So that shirt was just one of those things you get when you.
Did you donate?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, to get the shirt, I pretty much bought the shirt. That's what it is. But it all went to his program. Or
Randall?
whatever.
What?
You didn't hear? You weren't paying attention to that? Look at his
No.
shirt. Look at his shirt.
Oh, America.
Look who that is.
Is that Chuck Norris?
It's fucking Chuck Norris, dude.
I love Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
You know, he's the spokesman for. He's the spokesperson for Glock. He's one of their spokespeople.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I want to buy a Glock. If it wasn't for the, yeah, exactly. If it wasn't for, that's the thing. I was going for my license. I was going for all that.
I did. I literally did them all in August. I got my restricted and my non-restricted safety courses done. And I'm waiting for my possession acquisition license, and like all this shit fucking rolls through the pipe. Oh, okay, no more handguns. Oh, now no more bolt action. Like, what kind of fucking what kind of mass killing are you gonna commit with a fucking bolt action when the magazine capacity is 5 in the first place, and you have to fucking rack the bolt in between every round? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, semi-autos with rapid fire. Okay, it's like you can't have any magazine that's more than
5 rounds.
more than 5, except for a 22. I think 22 you can have a little bit more. I think it goes to 10, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's weird times, man, and it's like, fuck. I really I want to move to the States for that reason. It's just like,
The worst part about it, it won't change a fucking thing.
what do you mean?
It won't change. And just in terms of, the gun violence that they see, it's not going to change.
Oh yeah, no, that's not going to change anything.
Even if the United States, here's another example. If the United States decided to to do the whole, we're getting rid of all the guns. Okay, no problem. You still are bordered with basically what is pretty much a narco state like Mexico, which pretty much gets guns from the United States government, then traffics them back into the United States illegally and everywhere else in the world. And you're going to get rid of guns and gun violence? Give me a fucking break. And what it comes down to it is that people are getting rich somewhere, and that's what it is. It's never going to change. So you can pass as many laws as you want to look virtuous and look, we're doing something.
Yeah.
You're not going to change a fucking thing. Okay?
Even look at what's going on in the UK. I mean, in terms of like their knife violence. I mean, they don't have guns there. Like, even the police often don't have any firearms. Like there are people fucking stabbing up. Like, they're running through the streets with knives. There are people doing like splashing acid on each other. It's like, I'd prefer, if I was gonna be attacked, like, I'd prefer to get shot than to have to be completely disfigured with fucking acid. Imagine the carnage and like the tragedy you could cause with like a bunch of super soakers filled with hydrochloric, or sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid, some like extremely strong concentration of acid. What you could do with that running through a crowded fucking subway or something like that, and just fucking everyone in the face with fucking acid, and you got like, you blind 20 or 30 people. It's like, you can do horrible things if there's a will, there's a way. And like, I mean,
okay, how many people got ran over with trucks in Europe?
Exactly.
Somebody wants to kill, they're gonna kill, and that's what I'm saying.
Another point that people were making was was like alcohol. Like, look at the number of deaths. It's like 80-something thousand deaths a year that are associated with alcohol. And
that's
it's like,
still more than guns.
The government's the dealer of alcohol. Yeah, guns is like less than 5. It's like, it's what, 1,000 or something like that. It's like,
well, in Canada or the United States, that's another thing too, is that the stats on gun deaths are highly disproportionate, because the vast majority of them, a lot of them, are self-inflicted.
Yeah,
They're suicides.
Yeah.
So you can't really blame that on the guns. I mean, it's just a quick and easy way out. I can't decide if it's under the chin or in the temple.
Oh, what about like the pharma, like the pharma,
the opioid crisis?
Yeah. Well, these are legal, government sanctioned medical producers of medicine, the pharmaceutical companies,
the government,
and they're lobbying the fucking doctors. Exactly. And it's like, it's there. And that's the other thing too. Like, we were talking before about like Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. I mean, we're talking like we're saying this, completely candidly. It's like, we have no faith in the government or their ability to govern us, and or whether or not or whether they have our best interest, at heart. It's obviously it's a fucking racket. They're making a bunch of money, and it's like there has never been as much distrust or lack of faith in our government institutions. But look at what's going on with the media. They have us at each other's fucking throats because they're controlling the discourse by fucking making these bullshit topics about fucking transgenderism. They're injecting this into the social discourse. They're platforming people who are making these controversies more, like they're making them hit home more with, like, the trans fucking story hour and all this bullshit. It shouldn't be a problem. This wouldn't be a consideration in anyone's mind, because the people who are genuinely trans, I mean, they're such a small contingent of the population. They're a statistical anomaly. So it's like you wouldn't normally be interacting with these people enough to actually care about this, but it's a topic that everyone is being forced to fucking process right now and choose a side, and that becomes your identity. You start to see the world through this lens of, I'm on this side of this issue. It's fucking mind control, man. They literally they've controlled the discourse, and they make these issues something. They make
Meanwhile,
these issues
they
their
run
identity.
away with the money.
Exactly. Like, they've got us all divided and at each other's throats. I mean, so that we can't unite and actually pay attention to what's going on.
You
And
know
it's
that
like
the United
fucking
States,
tragic.
that the Department of Defense, every couple of years, there's like a couple $1 trillion that just fucking goes missing.
Like in 9/11, where that jet or whatever it was that hit the Pentagon, like that managed to hit and they managed to fly this into the most controlled bit of airspace in the entire continental United States. Something that is like the most secure locked down facility in the entire country, and like they managed to fly a plane in there, people with no experience apparently, and they managed to hit this one office that contains the records for whatever it was, $8 trillion.
Interesting.
It was
Something went missing.
Oh, we didn't know where it was, and now we'll never know, because look, it's been destroyed. Whoopsie! It's like, how many fucking coincidences are these people willing to? Oh, I guess that's what happened. It's like, give me a fucking break. Like, these coincidences, like, after a certain period of time, you gotta fucking recognize a pattern here. It's really like it's disgraceful that like they can sell this shit to people, and they're so willing to lap it up, and then just like and still like the only things that they want to take action on are things that are putting us against each other. It's like, oh, I hate the right, I hate the left. It's like
Or other things like the climate change. That's another one that's just, oh, we gotta be concerned about climate change.
yeah.
There's nothing going on, and there's nothing that you're going to be able to do. Jordan Peterson, I think, put it really great when he said, it's funny that all these social justice warrior types want to take on these giant things without actually really doing anything.
yeah. It's like, oh,
Right?
just by parroting an opinion online, just by virtue signaling,
Yeah.
they're going to make the difference by just signaling their virtue. Like,
Yeah, and it's the same thing with
and they have no
climate
understanding of how
change or
complex these
feminism.
issues are. Like, these are very complex issues. They have no understanding of, on top of everything else, right?
Well, it's the Rubik's Cube theory, man. It's my Hamiltonian Rubik's Cube theory, right? You have
Dox
you
yourself.
have you have the Rubik's Cube, right? So you have conservatives that they almost never make a move, but when they do, they're like they've carefully thought about the move, right? And then you have your old school liberals where they'll make a couple moves, they'll try a couple things, they'll move it back if it doesn't work. But then you got the progressives that are just like, I want the blue side. I want the fucking blue side complete. Fuck all the other sides. I don't give a shit about the other sides. I want the blue side complete, and that's all I care about. And they'll fuck up the whole Rubik's Cube to try and get the blue side. And they can't even get it because they're fucking dumb. Like, that's
It's like it's very complex. These issues are all tied together, and it's like, okay, you think like you can like, like things are very delicate and interconnected, and you need to be mindful of everything that is implicated in, when you're making a big sweeping change. There's a lot to consider, and it's very short-sighted.
Societies,
It's very misguided.
Societies don't survive these big drastic changes. I forget who was that I was listening to that was talking about. I think it was Tucker Carlson, probably, and he was saying, like, at the rate that the United States, with all the change that they were trying to push so quickly, society doesn't survive it.
No.
Like it's too much
Yeah.
at once, and all these things that are being dumped. It's like you said it. We're just tearing away at each other on shit that doesn't really
Doesn't matter.
mean anything at the
It's
end of
by
the day.
design.
Yeah,
It's by design, so we're not looking at our
It's-
government.
it's so, and it's what's worse is that this is not new. I mean, you can go back to ancient Greece, and they would do things like this. And I forget who the hell it was, where it was a guy who, I think there was an ancient law in Greece where nobody could have an army or something like that, right? Because that was, I think even then they had the foresight
Like private
to
army?
realize, yeah, they had the foresight to realize that it would be used to oppress the people.
Right.
And then the guy
They
faked,
were wise. They were wiser 1,000 years ago than we
Yeah.
are today. Like
oh well, this is more than 1,000 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
But
yeah,
we're talking about a guy
about
who faked an attack on himself, so then he would have a private security or private guards.
Yeah.
But then he used those private guards to oppress everybody.
It's all
like,
planned, yeah.
it was all planned out. Like we always fall for it, and it's just like a lot of this constant ruse that's being played out on everybody on a grand scale, and it's like
everything is so calculated. It's very, very calculated and
so
deliberate.
few
It's like,
people are willing to even see it when it seems like it's happening. They're like, no, come on.
no, they just want to
Well-
keep their glasses on, and then it's just social pressure, man. Like there's just so many people who are just inherently followers in the world. They need a real leader to step up, and anyone who rises to that role and presents, who represents a possible, really altruistic leader with good values who is going to do good they get crushed, they get fucking, they get painted with a certain brush, and they get torn down.
It's the Film Actors Guild all over again. It's our responsibility to listen to the news.
As actors, it is our responsibility to read the newspapers and then say what we read on television like it's our own opinion. Matt Damon.
And then repeat what we heard and pretend it's our opinion.
Exactly. But to what you were saying about the change, going through massive changes, what we're going through now is really unprecedented, right? Because if you look back, human beings as biological organisms, we go through there was a kind of a steady rate of change, where things would be more or less the same for thousands of years at a time, and then something would change, and it was like, oh, that completely changes the circumstances of our daily lives. And if you look at starting, within the last couple of hundred years, okay, things have started to change at a much faster pace. But the thing is, our biology cannot keep up with the rate of change of today. We have certain things that we are physiologically wired to do, which give us, which we're and again, that's being hacked now by these companies who are spending billions of dollars to figure out how best to market to us. They know how our dopamine response systems work. They know how to trigger these reactions in us. Whereas, where normally you did something, you went and hunted, and you brought something back and you provided it. Okay, you got a bunch of admiration, and you were given privileges within your community, within your within your village, because you provided something. You made a personal sacrifice and did something great for the community. And now it's like, okay, all you have to do is parrot some fucking toxic bullshit that they told you to say, and then you're getting patted on the back by everybody. And it's like, there's a reason why, despite our level of technological sophistication, the advances that we've made in terms of our medical technology, what our medical our capacity to keep people alive, our infant death rates, whatever, have dropped to almost zero. Everyone's got a chance today, and it's like now it's just we don't have how can I put that? Who's making tea?
Probably Steve.
Oh, okay. Anyway, the rate of change is just so fucking great that our biology cannot keep up with it. We're not able to adapt to these changes biologically fast enough.
Hey, look at the last 50 years introducing women into the workforce.
These
for
are
the last 50, 60
unprecedented.
years.
Like, this is unprecedented in a lot of ways, and it's like these things haven't stood the test of time. But we're so wrapped up in our ideologies about the world, is that we think we can project the way that we think things should be, onto the objective natural world, and it's just not working out. There's a reason why, despite, like I was saying, all of our medical technology, all of our despite having the best living conditions and having the most abundance that of any civilization, the more access to information of any civilization that's ever existed in history, why we have more mental illness, more and really the general malaise and purposelessness that is afflicting so many fucking people. People don't have anything of meaning to attach themselves to.
It's the rat experiment all over again.
We are disconnected from each other, like profoundly atomized and disconnected. And it's like it is showing in our birth rates are falling. We have more mental health problems, addiction, obesity, all of these diseases of affluence, because we're just fucking disconnected. We don't have a struggle. We don't have a struggle or something meaningful to attach our fucking lives to. And we need that struggle. We need something to fight through and come out on the other side and then become better people because of it. It gives us a sense of meaning.
That's part of the reason why so many people suffer from like anxiety. I'll give you an example. Like I used to get a lot of panic attacks back when I was younger, but I also used to live a life that was very routine, in the sense of routine based. I would always do the same thing every day. And the thing is, your mind is going to create problems where there are none.
Yeah.
Right. Because your mind,
you need a problem.
It craves it.
Yeah.
It craves it. That's why, I was able to get rid of it because, with the type of work that I do, I was always stressed, right? In the sense that I have all these people around me and everybody needs something at one point or another. So it's like, okay, I just got to fucking suck it up and just deal with the stress. But now, in order to feed my mind, I'm at this point where I have to do more than one thing at the same time. I love to play video games, but I can't just play video games. I have to be listening to a podcast or watching something on the side while I'm doing it, because my mind just needs to, and it has to be something that
Greg was saying overstimulation. It's like overstimulation.
It's like I need it. Yeah, it's just really something. It's really wild.
I have to be listening to a podcast while I play my video game, while I talk to Justin. Yeah.
Well, TikTok in real time. I mean, things like TikTok and these short form video content fucking things, they're manufacturing attention deficit disorder, right? It's just this overstimulation. It's like, next. Is this? Oh, do I have this? This video is 3 minutes long. Do I have 3 minutes to invest in this video? Oh, I'm not getting the dopamine fast enough. Next. And it's programming our brains in this way that is really fucking toxic. I mean, we're not going to be able to accomplish anything if we can't devote our time to something that is actually, if we take on a really important task, we need to be able to devote ourselves to that for an extended period of time and work our way through it. And that ability is being taken from us with this overstimulation.
Speaking of overstimulation, one thing that I gotta say is that I've been, I just no more porn.
Yeah,
no
me neither.
more, no FAP. I'm getting rid of that. It's just when I realize what it is that it's done to me, it's it has. I think it's responsible.
I've been 2 years no porn. I don't watch porn at all anymore.
I think it's been responsible for part of the destruction of my marriage, to be honest with you. Because, because look, at the end of the day, it's there's other circumstances, but I know it didn't help. You know what I mean? And not only that, it's so harmful to your libido. It's harmful to your self-confidence. It's harmful to...
It's a cheat button. It's a cheat button. Listen, this is my analogy with the cheat. I played, and this is a personal example. I played the game Fallout Shelter. Okay, I was on mobile game, but it was Fallout Shelter, and I had a lot of fun playing that game. And then eventually, I discovered that there was an app I could download from the Google Play Store, which would allow me to basically rewrite the number of my whatever resources that I had, so I could just cheat. And so I downloaded the app, and from that point, the game was ruined. And it's that's what they've given. Pornography is a fucking cheat code. It ruins the
Fallout Shelter.
That's what I just said. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like it gives you a shortcut. It's the same thing with drugs, right? Like you can smoke some crack, you can fucking take a shot of heroin, you can do whatever, and it's just like, oh, immediate, like, you're getting that immediate reward, and it's like over and over and over again you become addicted to that, and it's like then the normal way isn't satisfying anymore, and it will ruin your fucking life. And it's the same thing with your, like with pornography. If it's like, if you're not having to do the normal, commit to the normal method of, okay, I want sexual gratification, I want to engage my wife sexually, I want to have, I want to have I want to be romantic with her, whatever. And it's like, you know what, instead of doing all of that, I can just, I can crank one out in, 3 or 4 minutes here. I'll find a video and I'll get one off, and then I'll go back about my merry way. It's like
3 or 4 minutes. No, I've got it down faster than that now. At this point, I'm kidding. But I mean, it is very, very destructive, and it's just, it's just something.
The beauty standards, the ability for us to form meaningful relationships, like, the objectification that takes place, and it's like, that's one of the reasons why I have such a huge problem. And like, again, this, I think, something that's being very much manufactured, that women are being encouraged, young women these days are being encouraged to move into pornography, like OnlyFans, this fucking platform which is turning all of these like 18, 19-year-old girls into, unfit mothers, like in like, like they're never gonna be able to form meaningful relationships with a man when everything to do with their romantic relationships or sexual relationships becomes transactional. Like, that they're literally, like, everything is changing. Like, it's completely changing everything with the way that we interact with one another, the way that we see each other, and it's completely toxic. But that triggers me like nothing else, is like seeing how, like, these kids, like, it's like I'm on Tinder or whatever, and it's like 1 in 10 is like, oh, here's my OnlyFans, or even like it might even be more than that. Like, they're all on OnlyFans.
Things have changed so much. Like I met my wife, I guess, how many years ago? We've been married for about 5 years. So we've been together for 7. So 7 or 8 years, I've been out of the dating game. And when I met my wife, and even before I met my wife, I was doing the online dating thing. And stuff it's different, because I think even then, like, Tinder was sort of like just starting. But like, things are just so different. This is like, it's so out of control. This is like also like pre, hashtag Me Too era and all that other stuff. But like, there was a lot of, it was just, things were just so different back then. And it's like, now it's just almost out of control. And
it's like people like 18 and 19-year-olds are not able to make the, like, they have no idea what's implicated, or what the long-term repercussions will be for these relationships, or these decisions that they're making, or how it's going to affect their future relationships. Even the ability to pair bond. You should watch the video that I just sent you, the Why Do So Many Men Agree with Andrew Tate. Like, that one, like, the title of it is Meaning is the Real Happiness. And I mean, it talks about a lot of the stuff that we've just talked about, and I had the chance to kind of lay it out in a much more structured way. But it's like the decisions that these people are making are changing the course of their lives forever. And it's like it's sending them down a path that, once they reach a certain point, there's really no coming back. And like, the ability to pair bond is severely compromised when you've had, like, the more partners you've had, the more difficult it is for you to be able to pair bond with one person and form a committed relationship. And to what you were saying before about, like, that, we were saying the safety net. You said your parents are still together. It's like, since divorce became normalized, it's like, how many people's parents are still together? It's just like, if you don't want to, you can always get a mulligan. And it's like, people are using that. It's like, there's, and Peterson makes a big point about this as well. Why do we have these monogamous relationships? Why do we commit to this? Why do we involve the government? Why do we involve God? It's like, it's you're making a profound commitment to somebody, and you want to make sure that you're not able to back out of it easily, because there's some value there in having, like, in the type of relationship you can cultivate and experience with one person over a lifetime is not one that you can have if you're having 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 of these different partners. If you're a serial dater and you're hopping from one to the next, you're always going to be looking for another option. It's like these things are they're part of the way that our human psychology. It's just part of the way that we work. But yeah. Anyway.
Alrighty. So I just wanted to start recording before you brought up the woman that wouldn't go out with you because you didn't have a Facebook profile, which I think is fucking bizarre. Because why would you? I'm sorry, but if you meet anyone who is smart enough to just not be into social media and all that shit, you should jump on that person. You should jump on that person, and hold on to them for dear life, because they're fucking based. They'll keep you based in your stupid fucking while you peruse Instagram and all your stupid shit. Because honestly, the internet isn't real, dude. It's not real.
No, and it's like it's even less. It's less and less real. Like the longer we get into it, because people are learning to perform more and more in everything they do. It's like they
I
know
don't
that they're
put
being
anything
watched.
on there. I don't put anything of any real meaning on there.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Hopefully
I
that's
don't.
gonna change for you, but
Well, I mean, what I mean by that is like I don't put like my life on there. I don't put,
Yeah.
hey, I went out to dinner tonight, and oh, look at what I'm eating, and hey, I just bought this, or I just bought
This
like I don't.
vacuous bullshit. Like
Yeah, like I don't need that feedback. The only thing I really thought about putting out there was like a video of me playing drums or something like that. Like that's pretty much it. And the only thing I did was I put a video on YouTube just so I could share it with somebody else. That's pretty much the only reason why I put it out there. Like I don't have this sick need for attention.
narcissism. It's narcissistic personality disorder
Yeah,
on
I
a
don't
mass
have it.
scale. On a mass
When I was
scale.
when I was a kid growing up, and then maybe this is just also part of who I am. When I was a kid growing up, you know how like a lot of kids, they grow up and they like, oh, I need to go hang out with my friends. I need to go out. I need to be with everybody else. I need to do that.
Yeah.
I never had that feeling. Like I
did.
grew up.
I was very extroverted though.
Yeah, but when I was like, up until my brother was born, and even then, I was always very self-sufficient in the sense I could always keep myself company. I didn't need to be around other kids in order to be happy or to feel like, like I was
validated.
I was, yeah. I didn't need it. I was okay. I was all right. I kind of didn't like to share my toys either, so that kind of was always a plus. But I mean, I was okay by myself. Like even now, like I like my solitude. I like doing my own thing, and I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with being alone, and which is kind of weird. It made things also difficult when you're married because there are very few opportunities when you do get to be alone. But it's just I've never been that type of person where I need to be with people. I like people.
That's like
as George,
it's introversion versus extroversion. Like
it's like George Carlin says, I like people, but I like them in small doses.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I am. I mean, I like companionship, and I like being with people. I like talking to you two cocksuckers. No problem. I enjoy it. But I don't I'm not gonna die without it. Like I just, I think I'm all right. And at the same time, I didn't grow up to be some weird, socially awkward fucking weirdo where I can't carry a conversation with people either. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I can look another man in the eyes while I'm talking to him. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess same can't be said for others, but just.
But one of the kind of the main points of like what I'm writing is like the like the spirit as the conscious essence within us. How good does it feel to share something that is really important to you with someone else who appreciates it quite as much, when you both understand or appreciate something as much, someone who you're really close to? I mean, a good example of this that I often give is like if you've ever been to a concert, and like you're there with people who are there who love that band, and one of their famous most loved song comes on, and like everyone is there for a second. It's like you as an individual no longer exist. You're all there. Like you get goosebumps. It's as close to a spiritual experience as I think a human being can have, is appreciating, connecting with other conscious beings. And I think that kind of we're all in a sense like we're all part of one thing. We're all part of that consciousness. And through our lives we accumulate all these experiences. We have this sophisticated piece of hardware that is the human brain that allows us to store these really these memories and gives us a sense of our we're aware of our own awareness, and we're aware of the awareness of others. We're very conscious, right? The most conscious thing that we know of in the biological world. But if you tear all that shit away, all those experiences, those memories that become your identity, they become the lens through which you're interpreting and seeing the world. If you tear those away during a moment, like I said, when you're all, you're all listening to your favorite song together and everyone's singing it in unison. I mean, Peterson talks about patterns, right? Like music replicates these patterns, and for a moment you're all resonating with this one pattern. It's like you forget kind of who you are for the most part, and you're there really in that moment. I mean, that's one of the most magical things. So I don't know if you want to speak on that, how, if there are things that truly have given you that type of spiritual experience where you're actually experiencing something that is super meaningful to you with others who to whom it is also that meaningful and that profound. Some people really appreciate it.